Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to a special Tuesday afternoon edition of The Grueling Truth. I'm your host, Mike Goodpaster. Of course, I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Matt Andrews-Gavage. Matt, I know this is a special hour, a special episode for you, one of your favorite players on one of your favorite teams.
Yes, it is, Mike. As a lifetime 49ers fan, it's an absolute thrill and an honor to welcome our guest, 49ers legend Roger Craig. Roger, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on your show. Really excited to be on it.
Well, we really appreciate you taking your time out of your day to be on the show.
And thanks for being such a great 49er fan and a fan of mine, I guess. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, I have to tell you this real quick before Matt asks the first question. I'm a Cincinnati Bengal fan, so you basically ruined my childhood, Roger.
Oh, my gosh. I know where this interview's going. Then.
No, I don't even like to talk about that stuff anymore. I still have nightmares about you catching that pass, on that last drive.
Yeah, I only ruined, I guess, one part of your life, because the first Super Bowl I wasn't on that team. But I watched it, and that's when the 49ers kind of built their dynasty back, 2 years before I was on the team. So it's kind of tough to see us play, the Bengals twice in the Super Bowl and we win both times. It's kind of crazy.
Well, Roger, I was wondering if you would share with us your experience playing for the 49ers during really what was the golden age of the franchise.
Well, it was a great experience for me because, when I got drafted, I didn't realize I was going to be the focal point of the system. When I got drafted, I know that the 49ers threw passes to the running backs out of the backfield because I watched them win their first Super Bowl, and the most yards the starting running back had was like 500 yards, but he caught for another 300 or 400 yards in reception. So I'm like, wow, why are they drafting me? Nebraska, we never throw to the running backs, and we didn't have a passing game. So I'm like, they draft me to run and block, I said to myself, I'm like, well, I'm gonna show them that I have skills. I'm gonna work on catching the ball. They didn't even know I was gonna even do that. And so when I came to the rookie camp, the first couple of days, they threw me over 100 passes. I only dropped 2 passes. One was over my head, I couldn't catch, and then the other one was low in the ground. So Bill Walsh his eyebrows kind of lit up to see that I could catch the ball, and so I was a big part of their offense ever since that weekend. That they implement me into the passing game. Joe Montana, threw a lot of passes to me during the mini camps, and then some of the receivers kind of helped me out on how to run routes, and so being a fullback blocking and running, I was surprised that that they were going to make me a receiver coming out of the backfield, because they drafted they traded for Wendell Tyler to come on the team that same year, so. I thought that he would probably be the guy, to catch the ball, but they ended up using me, and we just created history after that. Throughout the 80s, I dominated as far as running backs, catching the most passes 5 years in a row, and I led the whole league in receiving one year with 92 catches, and no other running back have done that. So I'm really blessed that they trusted me and trusted my vision, because I wanted to show them a little more, not just to be a runner and a blocker. I wanted to show them I can be an all-purpose back for that system. So it was my doing, and my vision, seeing what I need to do to better myself as an athlete.
Yeah, the 1984 49ers team, for my money, is one of the 2 best teams I ever saw. I mean, the backfield was unreal. Wendell Tyler, yourself, Was Tom Rathman there at the time?
No, Tom wasn't there. Tom didn't come to he came in '86. So he came, and that's when Wendell Tyler got hurt in 1986. Bill Walsh moved me to halfback, and so Tom was the fullback at the time, and we came back the next year, and we almost made the playoffs again. Well, we made the playoffs, but that's the year the Minnesota Vikings they beat us pretty bad. Anthony Carter had a big game that day. And then the next year, Bill said, "Well, you're going to be our starting running back, so you might as well get ready." And so the next year, I trained my butt off. I had to lose about 15 pounds. I still had fullback, weight on me. I was weighing 225 at the time, so I wanted to lose 15 pounds so I could feel like a running back. And that same year, I ran for 1,500 yards and was the MVP of the league that year, and caught close to 70 passes, and we went on and won the Super Bowl. We beat Cincinnati in that Super Bowl that you were talking about.
Yeah, I remember that. You don't have to laugh when you say it. It wasn't that funny for me, man. I'm a little kid sitting in my room crying because of this.
Well, if it's any consolation, I was very happy.
So I went from fullback to running back, and I made fullback. I made the Pro Bowl at fullback when I did the 1,000, and then they moved me to halfback. I made it the halfback of the Pro Bowl, so I made it in two different positions. I don't think too many other running backs have ever done that before, But being the first player to rush for 1,000 yards and receive for 1,000 yards, that was kind of the start of the brink of the all-purpose back in the 80s, and you look at the players today in the millennium, you have to be able to catch the ball. If you're playing for Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, you better be able to catch the ball out of the backfield. So it shows you that our system is still relevant in today's football, in the millennium. So I mean, they're using our West Coast offense. So Tom Brady needs to give us some residuals from all the success he got over the years, over 13, 14 years. You need to pay up. You need to pay up because he definitely used our system. That is the West. That's Bill Walsh's system. Trust me, at its best.
What were some of the differences in playing for Bill Walsh and then later George Seifert?
Well, they both are great coaches. George Seifert never really got the credit that he deserved. As a defensive coordinator. Bill Walsh. With the West Coast offense, kind of hogged up. All the stories. The great comebacks. But our defense is what wins championships. And so George Seifert was always, kind of quiet, never really, voiced his opinion. He never, bragged about how good he was. And when he got the coaching job, he showed his skills, as far as, how to win and how to bring a team together, he won his first Super Bowl, New Orleans. And then he comes back and win another one with Steve Young. So it shows you his versatility as a coach and how he can adapt to any situation. And he built a great team that year that won the Super Bowl with Steve Young. He's really he's a good coach. I really respect him a lot.
Yeah, I think he really gets a bad rap just because he follows Walsh, and everybody says, well, anybody could have won with that team. But the fact was, he was perfect. He was perfect for that team because he put the players first.
Yeah, and he put the players first, and the most important thing is that he kept the family together. He didn't disrupt the organization. Sometimes you get a new coach in, they disrupt the organization by making all the changes. He kept it the same. We kept running our same West Coast offense. We practiced the same. We did everything as if Bill Walsh was standing right over, watching us. and we pulled together. When you have an organization like that, players got to step up and take ownership of your team, and that's what we did. The coaches only can do so much. The coaches can't go out and play for you. You have to take ownership of that team. You have to have leaders that are gonna disrupt things to make it in a positive way. Of how we work. And the way we practice, the way we conduct ourselves, the way we stick together in the locker room. We have to have those tough leaders that's going to step up to the plate and not be afraid to take the ownership. And we had leaders to do that. Ronnie Lott, Joe Montana, Rice, myself, Haley. You have all these guys that would just, take control of the organization and take it to the next level and play with the urgency of not just being hungry. Hungry is not good enough. Hungry, you get 3 meals a day. You miss breakfast, you have lunch. You miss lunch, you have a huge dinner. But when you're starving, you do whatever necessary to get the job done. The players I played with, we were starving to get the job done. And that's the difference. You look at the great players that won championships, the iconic guys like, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Wayne Gretzky, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant. These guys starve. And that's the kind of attitude you got to have when you play on a team like the team we had. We didn't want people that were hungry. We want guys that were starving, that was going to take each play to the next level. And that's what you got to have in today's, sports. The athletes have to distinguish what that means, hungry and starving. And they would be a better player, and they'll create their own legacy if they understand those two terminologies. Because hungry, everybody's hungry, but who's the guy who's going to be starving? See, that's the key. That's the message that guys got to take.
Definitely agree with that.
And not just in sports, in business, same way, the same thing. I work for a software company. I'm vice president of business development for TIPCO Software, and we sell integration software. We're big in fast data. We have tools to dissect, fast data, with our analytics. And guys have to come in, people have to come in, to work, and they have to be starving if they want to have success. Because it's easy to kick back and relax and coast and pretend you're doing something, but if you're not making the impacts, we don't need you. You got to make impact. You have to make impacts in life. You have to find a way to make the world a better place. What do you do to do that? How do you make impacts in people's lives to change the world and make it a better place? I try to do that every day. I walk out of my house or I'm in front of public, the public. If a fan come up to me, I'm going to make sure they have a great experience when they meet me. I'm not going to just shake their hand and walk away and not give them something. I want to give something to them because I appreciate fans, how much they support me throughout my career and cheer for me and 0 below temperature weather or 95 degrees, out there sweating, watching, cheering for us. So I got to give something back. I got to make them feel good, make them feel like they are special. I don't care if you're a homeless guy on the streets to the CEO of the biggest company on the planet. You're going to get the same respect.
Yeah. Well, talking about impact people have on other people's lives. In 1983, when you were drafted and went to the 49ers, who was the man when you got there that most impacted your first season or basically the rest of your career even in the NFL?
Well, when I got drafted and media day when they brought me in, one of the old-time players on the team was Hacksaw Reynolds. I don't know if you remember Hacksaw Reynolds. But
yeah, he played for the Rams before the Niners.
He played for the Rams, yeah, linebacker, yeah. And he was kind of like my mentor, I met him. He said, why we drafted you? I'm like, why? He said to help us get back to the Super Bowl. So I'm like, wow. As a rookie hearing that, I'm like, oh my gosh, I got some work to do. I gotta get working here. I gotta show these guys that, they didn't make a mistake. Because my last year at Nebraska, I didn't have a great senior year. I got hurt, and I didn't play that much. I only played half the season. I only had like 500, 600 yards, and so I had to prove to them, being their first pick in 1983, that it wasn't a bust. And so the one thing that I did was I kept my mouth shut. I just didn't try to be this rookie coming in thinking he hot shot, coming in with a Ferrari, I bought a Volvo, real conservative, coming from the Midwest, being from the Midwest, saving my money, doing all the right things, and I just kept my mouth shut and worked my butt off. And I can remember in workouts and practice, I used to sprint every play out. I learned that in high school. My high school coach taught me, run it out. So we had to run it out like 80 yards every time I touched the ball. So I was used to that. I did it in high school. I did it when I was at Nebraska, and so I brought that same mentality to the 49ers. And they were like, who does rookie think he is, I can remember people laughing, like, come back, Roger, come back. I'm running 80 yards down, every time I touch the ball. They're making a joke out of it. But guess what? I changed the culture, baby. I changed the culture. Bill Walsh had everybody doing that. And then every draftee that came in, Jerry Rice included, and all the rest of them, they had to run it out just like me. So, when I got that respect from the players, and then when I stepped on the field and we almost went to the Super Bowl my rookie year, they changed that whole mentality about, who I was as a player, as a rookie, and they accepted me, and that's all I wanted was just to be accepted. And I didn't create any havoc, any conflicts or anything. I just did what I was supposed to do, and we almost went that same year. Washington Redskins beat us with those two phantom pass interference calls that they called on our defensive backs, because we were definitely dominating the second half. We had tied the game up 21-21, and the momentum has shifted, and we were on our way. If we got the ball back, we were going to score, man. And for some reason they let the boys are off the hook. They called phantom pass interferences, and next thing you know, we didn't go to the Super Bowl that year. But that next year, wow, we had one heck of a year. We were 15-1. The only team that beat us was Pittsburgh Steelers, and then we faced Dan Marino in Super Bowl 19 here at Stanford University, and which the Super Bowl is going to come back to San Francisco this year. Well, down the Santa Clara rather, at the new stadium. So it's going to be kind of cool to relive that, Super Bowl back in the Bay Area again.
Well, speaking of reliving, I was not expecting to relive the painful '83 championship game.
Matt talks about that all the time, Roger.
Oh yeah, the Redskins.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Two phantom interference calls.
I couldn't believe it, and they made it. And ESPN they did a story about it. I mean, it's like I guess they didn't want two California teams playing against each other in the same Super Bowl, because the Raiders crushed, the Redskins that year. Yeah, but it made us a better team and made us be a little more wiser, and just made us hungrier, starved. I mean, we were starving to go back rather, and we made it happen. 15-1 the next year, and we won the Super Bowl. And it's so funny. I cherish out of all the Super Bowls I won 3 Super Bowls, and the one thing I cherish the most is I never, ever, ever missed a playoff in my life. I don't know what it feels like to be on a losing team. I played in 11 consecutive playoffs, not just with the 49ers, but 1 with the Raiders, 2 with the Vikings. For some reason, I'm a magnet to come into teamwork, and I really cherish, it takes teamwork, to make the playoffs. It's not an individual thing. You don't break records and get a chance to play in playoffs or whatever. It's a team thing, and I've always been a team player. I've always been a team player from high school. I learned from my high school coach. There's no I in team. team is bigger than you, So I always knew, about that second element of, giving back to the team and doing whatever it was necessary for my team to win. I can remember with in Bill Walsh's system, we had this certain play that we ran. And a lot of running backs, they don't like to get hit on play action fake because they don't have the ball. But I get pissed off if I didn't get hit. That means I failed that play. I messed that play up, because that play depends on we all are an extension to each other, So Joe Montana, when he fakes to me, I got to give a good fake, so the defense think I have the ball. If I don't get hit, that means I didn't do a good job. So I'm hurting Jerry Rice or John Taylor if I don't fake well, because when I fake well, the whole defense collapses thinking I have the ball, and it puts the safety in a bad situation because if he takes 2 or 3 steps, he's beat. And so I had to sell that fake every time, and I took pride in that fake. And Montana and I used to work after every practice, just working on the play action fake, part of our system. That was a huge part of our system, huge. And Jerry Rice used to always give me $100 every time, he would win. I would win, rather, Yeah. So but it's that connection that we have, this team, unity, And so I understood, what my roles were. We all have roles that we play as individuals on teams. You have to know. You have to just know what your role is and your mission is, as a player. And if you know what those are, you're going to have success. You're going to create your own legacy. But if you're selfish, that you don't want to fake, it's not going to me, so I'm going to have a horrible fake, then you're letting the team down. You're letting 10 other guys down. Because at the end of the day, all we look for is the scoreboard. Did we win or did we lose? Or did we just score a touchdown or we didn't score a touchdown? So that's all we got. And business is the same way, At the end of the day, did you make your numbers on your quarters, Or at the end of the day, how was your revenue at the end of the year, You get judged by all those things. So, yeah, I mean, teamwork is everything to me, And I carry that through my business, world right today, So nothing changes.
Right.
Well, you brought up Joe Montana there. Go ahead, Matt.
No, you go ahead, Mike. You can ask Joe Montana.
Okay, you brought up Joe Montana there. This is what I want to know. All right, we're talking about the drive that destroyed my childhood. But what was it like to be a part of that drive in that huddle, going down in the last 3 minutes and 22 seconds to win the Super Bowl?
I just want to tell you, we weren't like freaking out. Okay, I mean, we weren't stressed. We've been there before. Bill Walsh prepped us. That was a big part of our system, the 2-minute offense. We owned that. We took ownership of that. When we did practice, we had a special period just for a 2-minute offense. We'd go against our number one defense, and we would crush them every time. So it was an attitude thing. 2 minutes, we love it. Come on, we know exactly what we have to do. It's just like being on Broadway, and we all had scripts that we had to, deliver, or another way of analogy of who we were on that drive. We were just like a jazz band. We all had instruments. And to make beautiful music, you need a conductor to conduct the different instruments to play the music. Well, Joe Montana was the conductor, and we were the musicians, having our different tools out there playing the music and creating great harmony, because that West Coast offense all came together, showed us who we were at the time. There's unselfishness, because every skill position player on that field touched the ball on that drive. It wasn't just one guy. Jerry Rice wasn't the only guy. I wasn't the only guy. Joe gave everybody an opportunity to touch the ball on that drive. As we driving down the field, we had to go like 94 yards down the field, right? With a couple minutes left in the game. Joe stops and he sees that we're kind of getting a little uptight. He stops and he looks over to the right. And he said, "Hey, isn't that John Candy over there?" over there. I'm like, wait a minute, Joe. I mean, why are you looking at John Candy? You know, but he wanted to distract us so we wouldn't be so uptight, you know, and just relax. And we all laughed and stuff, you know, and we went on down the field. The teams, the guys who were really stressed was Cincinnati Bengal. We could see that their faces were stressed out. We weren't stressed. The clock was running out, but we knew exactly what we had to do. And we just went on down the field and scored the touchdown and won the game. It was an amazing comeback for us, but you know, Bill Walsh had put us in this position so many times. So, you know, it just shows you about teamwork. That's why I was talking about how I enjoy the teamwork. See, those memories will last a lifetime. You know, just to know that I was in that moment and in the heat of the battle, and how we all came together, how the West Coast offense just flourished in that time. You know, with a couple minutes left in the game, it's probably one of the most exciting comebacks in a long time.
Yeah, I would.
You know, Roger, when I think
real quick before we get to Matt's question, we've got about 4 minutes left in the live show. So if you're listening now, and about an hour after the show goes off, you can hear the last 15 minutes, which will be on the podcast. The complete interview will be there. So go ahead.
How about Borland? You guys haven't talked to me. You haven't asked me anything about Borland. You know,
it's on the list, Roger. You got to give us a second here.
Okay. I'm just wondering because, you know, he's from Wisconsin.
Yeah, we'll ask you about
played
that.
at Wisconsin. You know, I love that kid, man.
You know, when I think about
the
your
thing
career,
that impressed me
Roger,
about him was the fact that he's given back 3/4 of his signing bonus he got last year.
He's given back $463,000. That shows you his, you know, that he's really dedicated to retiring. You know, I would find all kind of ways to hold on to that money. the way I would give it back.
What do you think about his decision?
Well, you know, it's to each his own, you know. I mean, if it's his passion, you know, and he has to feel comfortable of going out there and suit up and play against these unbelievable athletes out there. I mean, it's a different world. When you step on the football field in the NFL, I'm telling you, man, it's a different world. You got to be ready. You got to be mentally ready. The way I train in the off season, I train my butt off just to be ready to take those hits. You know, that's why I trained the way I did. I only took 2 weeks off in the off season, and man, you know, you got to have your mind and body prepped and ready for the contacts. And I think, you know, Borland just, you know, he saw a lot of other players, some of the players that I played against, you know, a lot of them lost their lives. You know, they committed suicide, and a lot of them, like Tony Dorsett, has, you know, dementia. Kind of, you can't remember certain things, and I think he had some concussions before Borland, and he just want to have a healthy second life, you know, besides playing football, but have a healthy life, you know, for himself, you know, and so he might have got spooked a little bit, you know. But kids are a lot smarter now. But back when we played, they felt that, you know, guys felt like they were invincible, that they can play under any stand. I mean, they can play with concussions, play with everything. We weren't too bright, you know. So today, you know, they have a lot more, you know, they have a lot more tools to work with, you know, like scanner. They have sensors that can measure the hits that you might take from your defenders that hit you. You know, like they got this technology called Zebra technology that can create that can, you know, can find all the different measurements of algorithms of hits that you take, and they can measure all those type of things and say, hey, maybe you shouldn't go out and play this week or next week, or you know, it's just amazing tools that we have now to help the athletes to be better athletes and to perform at the highest level. And so, you know, I wish him well. I think the kid, I was hoping that he's going to come back next year and be an all-pro linebacker because he could have got Rookie of the Year this year. I swear he's that close to getting Rookie of the Year this year. You know, he had so many tackles, and he led the team in tackles, and he was like the future. And I was like, wow, man, we got a good linebacker. You know, I'm saying to myself, you know, and then he retired. That was a shock to everyone. I was like, wow, unbelievable. But I wish him well. I wish him well, and I wish him the best. And I take my hat off to him. It takes a lot of courage to do what he just did. And hopefully he'll come back, because I love watching him play, because he plays the game as if he's starving. He's not one of those guys that are just hungry. He plays like he's starving, and I like that mentality.
Well, I know Matt said that you guys talked yesterday, and he said that you mentioned Walter Payton was one of your mentors when you were younger. What were some of the important things? What were some of the important things that you learned from being around Walter Payton?
Well, first of all, he was like my idol as a kid growing up, and how blessed I am that I got the opportunity to start in the same backfield with him at the Pro Bowl. I was his fullback. When I did the 1,000 in 1985, I made the Pro Bowl, right? And Walter was my mentor. I hung around with him that whole week while we were at the Pro Bowl. I was like this little chihuahua, and he's this bulldog. I'm jumping around trying to get all the information I can from him. We got to be pretty good friends, and he sent me workouts, and he just told me, things I need to focus on, like taking care of my body and, getting the massages, doing all the things to better my body so I can get the most out of it. And he said to always take just 2 weeks off in the off season. That was the best advice I could ever take from him, because a lot of guys, they don't understand that. Your body's on a calendar. So when you take like 2 and 3 months off just not doing anything, it's hard to get your body back up to the optimum best, So he said just take 2 weeks off and ease into your workout and do some endurance running, and run the hill. And so I did that, and that really helped me a lot, physically and mentally, knowing that, I was in the best shape of my life, and I owe it to Walter, and Walter always told me to hit force with force, attack the defender, that, a lot of guys, running backs, take a lot of, hits because they absorb, they don't like, they're not physical. They're not like a violent runner. Now, there's guys that are like violent runners in the game today. I like Adrian Peterson's style, and I like Matt Forte's style a little bit. They're kind of aggressive, And Aaron Foster's another good one. These guys, they're big and they're physical, and you have to be. If you want to, stay in the game for a long time, you have to kind of dish out the punishment. Because if you keep absorbing that, you're gonna, find your way out. You won't last long in the league. So Walter always told me to hit force with force. And Walter wasn't that big. He only weighed 185, 190 pounds, but he ran like he weighed 240. The guy was amazing. Only missed one game out of 13 years. Wow. I have mad respect for him. I know he's up in heaven, having a good time up there. But, man, I wish he was still here, because, he can really help a lot of kids out there. I'm going to keep, delivering the message, that he helped me with. So hopefully some kids out there are listening, never be satisfied. Always work to get better. You want to work on your skills and work on the little things. The little things is what makes you great. It's not the big things. It's the little things.
You mentioned, as you were talking about Walter, you mentioned the hill. Mike knows this. I talk about Joe and Ronnie, yourself, and Jerry a lot. And, when you mentioned the hill, I always think of the NFL Films spot on Jerry running the hill. But I think you had a little part in that.
Yeah, no, that was my hill. Okay, Jerry just ran with that. Okay, I was running that hill 2 years before Jerry even came to the 49ers. I introduced the hill to Jerry. For some reason, ESPN flipped it and said it was his hill. Like, this is Jerry Rice's hill. No. It was my hill, baby. Go to Yahoo Sports and Google up Roger Craig and Jerry Rice Hill. See who's on there. just check it out. I was the one who kind of gathered the players together. Before Jerry was on the team, I had guys running the hill we all lived in the same community. It's this town called San Carlos, California. And the hill was in San Carlos. It's called Edgewood Park. And it was more of a trail. It's where people took their horses and walked the trails. But I got introduced to the hill by Dr. Art Ting, Dr. Arthur Ting. He was our orthopedic surgeon. Then he left the 49ers, and now he's with the San Jose Sharks hockey team. So he kind of introduced the hill to me, and then I loved it so well that I shared it with my other teammates who lived in my community. So I used to go around to their homes and wake them up 5 o'clock in the morning. Their wives get pissed off at me. I'm throwing rocks at their windows, waking them up, getting them. Eric Wright was one that had a hard time getting up every morning. But Eric Wright, Keena Turner, Mike Wilson, Jeff Fuller, all those guys, we all came down. They came down the hill to run at this park where I was introduced to, and then Jerry, when he came on, I said, Jerry, in the off season you got to train, man, you got to work out, so why don't you come run this hill with us? And he ran the hill with us, but he never came back. He stopped. I mean, he got halfway and then he left and went back. So I begged him to come back. So he never tells that story. But I bust him out in public all the time. Wherever we at, I tell that story. I said, man, Jerry, I had to beg you to come back to that hill, and then he came back, and then it was history after that. He bought into it. You have to buy into it. You have to, and just like, buying into the West Coast offense. You can't be selfish. You gotta have roles. Everyone has a different role that you play, and we all, took those roles to the next level, and that's what we did in our off-season training. Barry Sanders trained with me his rookie year. He came out. You can ask him. Barry Sanders. He trained with me. Eddie George came out and trained a little later. Ricky Waters did the hill. Oh my gosh. So many guys came out, and Barry Bonds, we had a little bit of everybody running the hill, man. Trust me, man. It was amazing. It was amazing. It was
we got about 6 or 7 minutes left here. So why don't you just tell us a little bit about what you're doing today? And I know that you're running a marathon this weekend, I think Matt said.
Yeah. I host a rock and roll marathon. I'm the founder of the race in San Francisco and San Jose. San Francisco is this weekend, and we're going to probably have close to 12,000. They don't like us. I mean, we probably can do 30,000, but the city only want to have a certain amount of runners on the field, on the streets, because they have a city ordinance that we have to be off the streets by 10 o'clock. So we start about 6 o'clock the race early in the morning so we can get people off. But yeah, it's really a great run. We have rock and roll bands every mile. We also have a big concert after the race, at the Civic Center, right down there in San Francisco, and it's just a fun event. It's good for people to help motivate themselves and to achieve things, on their own and not having someone to help them. I don't have an offensive line out there blocking for me. I run it all 13.1 miles, and I ran over 35 marathons in total, half and fulls, and it's my passion. It's what I love to do. And San Jose is another big one that I love hosting. We had over 20,000 last year, and this year is going to be our 10th anniversary. So I'm really looking forward to that. It's the first week of October. We have people from all over the country. I mean, like 25 different countries. They come over and run these races, and it benefits the city, because the total impact, the hotels, the restaurants, they get a lot of money, So it's millions and millions of dollars that has been exchanged over the weekend. And which is great for the city, and so we make the mayor look like he's the king, but I'm really the king, But the mayor, we got to make him look like he's doing something really special here, But it's my vision that I brought to the Bay Area, which they love, and if you Google it up, the Run Rock and Roll, you can see and put my name by it, and you can see that I'm a big supporter of it, and I'm really looking forward to having fun this weekend.
Well, I Googled you yesterday and came across an article about how you were trying to get like some kind of a record time in a marathon. Guy ran alongside of you.
Yeah, I was in Chicago.
He
I was
wanted to run with you. What's that?
Yeah, I remember that. I was in Chicago running, the Chicago Marathon, and basically, I'm running a good pace. And some guy just came out of nowhere and just came up beside me and said, "Can I finish the last 2 miles with you? My family's going to be at the finish line." I said, "Sure, come on, man, let's go." Because it's what we do, It's the runners community, and you kind of help each other out. You see a guy struggling, you cheer him up. Like, come on, you can do this, you can make it. Don't give up. You have people cheering, hoping, helping you, along the way. And I said, sure, I'll be happy to run with you, And so, the last mile, he started cramping up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and I'm running a good pace, right? And I'm like, should I stop and walk with him, or should I just keep going? I'm like, I'm going to stop, And so I stopped and walked him a little bit, till the cramps left. And we got back and started running again. And we finished together. And he told his family that I stopped. And I was gracious enough to, to help him along the way. And that's what you do in these kind of races. It's not so you put your ego aside. Of course, I could have ran a fast time, but I can always do that another time, But I help someone to give them something for the rest of their lives that they can cherish with their kids, that, to say, hey, Roger ran with me and he stopped and walked with me. And, so those kind of stories go a lifetime, and it goes viral. So I like positive things like that you can change someone's life and make the world a better place. And that's what I try to do every day.
Yeah. Well, we got about 2 or 3 minutes left. Yeah, 2 or 3 minutes left. I would just like to say it was an honor to have you on our show. And anytime you want to come back, you're always welcome, even though you are a 49er and ruined my childhood.
I want to convert you, man. I want to convert you.
I've been working on it for a few years.
At least convert you as a Roger Craig fan. That's all I care.
Well,
You don't
I've
have to be
always been a Roger Craig fan. I've always been a Jerry Rice, Joe Montana fan. I just didn't like what y'all did to me. All right.
All right, man. Well, it was a pleasure talking to you guys. Matt and Mike, you guys are awesome, and feel free to hit me up during the season, whatever, because I keep tabs on what the league's doing and what players are doing, So feel free to ever to call me back. It's all good.
All right, thanks a lot, Roger.
Appreciate that.
Hey, thank you, man. You guys have a good day.
You too.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we've got another episode of the Grueling Truth on tap tomorrow night at 11 o'clock, where we'll have former University of Miami of Florida lineman Leon Searcy, who also played for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was a Pro Bowler with the Jacksonville Jaguars in 1989. That should be a great interview. I know you're looking forward to that, Matt.
Yes, I am. I remember when he played for Pittsburgh and Jacksonville, and I also remember hearing a little bit more about his career on ESPN, and he was a very good lineman. I definitely look forward to talking to him.
And Thursday night, we will have another special edition. We'll have Gary Jeter back on. He was on last week. We had some technical difficulties. He didn't get on until about 25 minutes into the show. Talked about his Uncle Bob's career with the Green Bay Packers. So we'll be able to talk to him. I mean, this is a guy that played with one of the greatest running backs of all time, Eric Dickerson, played with one of the greatest linebackers of all time, Lawrence Taylor. I know Mr. Jeter has a lot to say.
He sure does. I'm looking forward to getting his thoughts on the 85 championship game, and I also want to ask him some things about what LT was like when he first broke into the league.
Yep, me too. So we will see you guys tomorrow night at 11 o'clock on another episode of The Grueling Truth. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.